All right, good morning. And this time I actually mean it is morning here in the United States. It is about 5:30 a.m. here on the Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, Wandy, with another episode of Waking Up with Wandy on the Stock Showdown podcast. Our guest, a little bit later in the day, hails from Austria. We have Florian Fritz with us on the show here this morning. So thank you, Florian, for being on the show. Thank you for accommodating my rescheduling request. Thank you to because of an unexpected snow day here in the Northeast yesterday. I know my children enjoyed that, so it was nice to have all four of my children home. Yes, that's right, all four of them home. So I appreciate Florian making the special request to get this podcast done this morning rather than yesterday. So a little bit of a background on Florian. He is the founder of the Money Hero Academy, where he is teaching how to create financial freedom by improving your money mindset, money management, and money-making skills. Very important things that we always, I at least try to emphasize in my classes, specifically when I used to teach financial literacy specifically to the kids at Sussex County Technical School. I've kind of gravitated away from specifically doing that, as now I teach the business program over there. Now, don't get me wrong, we still mention these very concepts, and extremely important concepts, but I'm really looking forward to hearing more of what Florian has to say and how he got his start in this particular business. He used to be a financial advisor and was exposed to the financial crisis during 2008, as was I. So maybe that has kind of shifted his focus. It definitely shifted mine into the field of education. But enough about me and enough about Florian's background. He'll get into that. So without further ado, Florian Fritz, everybody. Thank you, Florian.
Thanks so much for inviting me. Great to be here.
Great to have you on the show. So Florian, you have a background as a financial advisor, correct?
Absolutely. I started in 2003. Started working for the largest financial advisory company in the German-speaking area. And that's when I learned about the concept of financial freedom. And I thought, that sounds cool. I want that.
Now, what was, I guess, the concept that kind of opened your eyes like, oh my God, I want that? Can you be specific? Financial freedom and what that really entails of? Because let's just keep it very, I guess, basic. Financial freedom. Can you elaborate on just the simplicity of that?
Very, very simple. Financial freedom means that your passive income is higher than your expenses. Always got this little sign here lying beside my computer. So what means passive income? That means you're not exchanging your time for money, but you've created some value or you've made some investment that's grown as much that your returns are high enough to cover your monthly expenses.
And you can just kind of, not to say put it on cruise control or autopilot, but you can kind of breathe a little sense of relief that you know that you have enough money coming in without sacrificing your time, so to speak, to cover all these expenses. Do I have that about correct?
Absolutely. It's, passive income is a little bit misleading. Nothing is ever completely passive. You still have to check it, take a look, and maybe change something here and there, and still keep working on it. But you can do it whenever you want. You don't have to do it it doesn't take you 40 hours a week. So you make money basically while you sleep. And as Warren Buffett says, if you don't learn how to make money while you sleep, you have to work until you die. Who wants that? Nobody. So let's make some passive money.
I love that. Love that quote from the Oracle of Omaha. I love the different quotes that he has. And one in particular is like when I think Jeff Bezos talked to him. And he said, Warren, you've been so successful for all these years. Why don't more people follow your strategy? And he said, because people don't want to get rich slowly. Again, we want this instant gratification. We want things now. We want that new shiny thing that's out there. Now, the passive income that you speak of, can you give some examples of ways that people can, I guess, develop these different revenue streams or these different ways of obtaining passive income? Because again, my audience is high school students predominantly, and I want to make sure that I set them on the right path to starting to build those ways of passive income at an early age. Can you give any suggestions?
Sure. From investments, you get you buy a bond, you get interest. You buy a stock, you get dividends. Both of them completely passive. Well, the interest is not very high if you use those two most of the time, but it's passive. Now, if you go in other investments, you might get more. Then real estate, you have a tenant who pays you a rent. That's passive. You have to still take care of the real estate, that it don't crumbles and falls down at some point, and collect the rent, but you make the money without working. Or you create a value that you can sell later on, like you write a book, you record some music, and then you can sell it again and again and again without having to create the value again.
All right. So of the different assets that you mentioned, there are different ways to develop these passive income streams. You mentioned bonds to start. Now, given the economic climate right now, geopolitically, that would have me a little bit concerned about getting into certain bonds. Maybe not so much the country bonds, but perhaps corporate bonds. Can you speak to the difference between maybe investing in the corporate bond sector as opposed to obviously the country bonds? Do you favor one right now as opposed to the other, or are you staying completely out of bonds given what's happening right now?
For now, I'm completely out of bonds. In my opinion, bonds are return-free risk at the moment. So that's exactly the opposite of what you want. Well, a government bond obviously is given out by a government that's taken on debt. A corporate bond is given by a company. But yeah, you get very low returns by the countries you would lend money to, like the US or Germany. You basically don't get any returns at all. And if you want higher returns, you have to give your money to Venezuela. Don't, okay?
And I don't think you could be giving your money to Russia right now. So good luck with that one. I think
it's going to be complicated actually to organize that if you want to give your money.
And if I'm not mistaken, they just had their, their bond status downgraded to junk, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, since they decided not to pay any interest anymore, that's basically default. So, yeah. If you want to donate money,
that's a no-no.
Then don't give it to Russia.
All right. So now moving to the next asset class that you mentioned after bonds. Thank you for that. You mentioned dividend paying stocks, and dividend again is a reward to those shareholders for taking that risk, and some companies pay them and others don't. And this is what I emphasize to my students when they're looking at different stocks to invest in. Sometimes those dividend paying stocks don't give you this huge rate of return, this huge growth. They're more established companies, and that's what affords them or allows them to take some of their profits and share it with their shareholders. Now, some of the behemoths out there, like an Apple, for example, finally started to pay a dividend. Now, it's negligible. I think it's probably, if I had to guess, I think it's like 1.5%, maybe 2% yield on an annual basis for Apple stock. What's that?
Between 1 and 2, yeah, you're right.
All right. Do you have any suggestions out there for some great dividend paying stocks where you can get that yield? Maybe that's around 5-7%, something like that. And I always mention this to my kids. Look, you might not get the huge growth potential with these particular companies, but if you park your money in a bank savings account, you're getting nothing. So you might as well at least park it in one of these nice paying dividend stocks. You might get some capital appreciation, but you're going to get that dividend. Do you have any suggestions of some quality dividend paying stocks that are out there? I don't want to say that Apple's not a quality paying dividend stock because you're still getting a decent yield as opposed to what you could get in a bank savings account. But do you have any other suggestions out there of some quality dividend paying stocks?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you can look them up at dividends.com. They charge a small fee, but then they give you the list who's paying how much dividend this year. Traditionally, often telecommunication and oil companies pay quite good dividends. Like Exxon used to pay about 9%. The AT&T, I'm not sure. The German telecom, Deutsche Telekom, was paying 7%. I know that Shell paid 10%, but they lowered it 2 years ago when the oil price was negative for a couple of days. So they lowered it. But yeah, check oil companies, check telecommunication companies. They might be around 7%. I had an oil tanker company that paid me 20% dividend last year. Wow. I don't think they're doing that every year, but it was pretty cool.
Now, you said something very important there with Shell 2 years ago when the when the price of oil went negative, because again, this is when the pandemic started and we had, too much supply and not enough demand. So prices actually went negative. I remember watching that. It was insane. And now we have the complete opposite, where the sanctions are being placed on Russia and all the turmoil over there has caused the price of oil, which I think 2 days ago was approaching 130. And then all of a sudden it was down like $13 a barrel yesterday. But I digress. Now, with that increase in oil, could you see the potential of these oil servicing companies like your Exxon and Shell increase the dividend, or are they going to say, forget that, we're going to try to bank this as much as we can, we're going to keep our dividend constant and try to make more profit? What do you think on that?
Well, I think, though, the companies like Shell that cut the dividend if they make more profit, now they're also losing business in Russia. So if they have a higher profit and can go up again with their dividend, I think they will.
Okay. Time will tell. We are obviously just getting started, I think, with what's taking place, unfortunately. And then you mentioned real estate was another thing that you mentioned as far as ways to develop passive income. And I believe one of your, I don't want to say mentors, but coaches, if you will, you had done some research with Robert Kiyosaki. Is that correct?
I did meet Kiyosaki, yes, in South Africa. 5 days. We had a very intimate program with him. So, yeah, I've done some work with him.
He is a very popular name. A lot of my students follow him. I think some of them have even read his first book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's a very interesting man. And he talks all about, ways to develop that passive income and to be able to use debt as leverage. Now, as a, high school kid just getting started, what kind of advice can you give to getting started in real estate? And is now the right time to actually do that with real estate, given what's been taking place in the real estate market? Should they look for pockets in the country or obviously in their geographic location that might be conducive for them? Or should they just sit on the sidelines and wait for prices to kind of cool off a little bit? What do you think?
Well, I think it's always a good time. It's maybe not the very best time to get in, but it's always a good time if you know what you're doing. So first of all, get some education. Don't just buy a house or an apartment or some commercial real estate. First, get some education, learn what you're doing. And then only do deals that actually make you money. Don't say, okay, if I get this tax subsidy or whatever, then it might be positive. Or if I wait 10 years and prices keep going up, then I make money. No, only do deals that make you money right away. And then you're good. Now,
how is the real estate market in Austria? Because in the United States, it's out of control. We're talking 20 20 odd some percent gains year over year over the last 2 years, with more on the horizon. The Federal Reserve here in the United States is basically forecasting the raise in interest rates. I don't know how many. Obviously now with the geopolitical concerns, they might not be as aggressive as they once thought they were going to be, but the writing's kind of on the wall that they're going to raise rates. And with the raise in rates, I think that might be kind of accelerating the demand for individuals to jump into real estate before the rates move even higher, which might, again, cause prices to accelerate even further. So I'm curious on the real estate market over in Austria. Are you seeing something similar to that or not as much?
Similar, yes, but a lot slower, a lot less, because the mortgage system works completely different. Now, if you as an individual want to get a mortgage, the bank doesn't look at the property you're buying and the rent you're going to get. They just look at your income. Can you afford to pay the mortgage? So a lot less people are getting a mortgage, because if you want to buy a second property, they're still going to look at your income, and you already have a mortgage on that one with the first one.
Wow.
So it's a lot harder to start investing in real estate here in Austria. And that's why we don't really form bubbles, because they only give money to people who don't need it.
Wow. What a concept. So when they do their, here in the United States, I think we call it like a debt to income calculation, is they're looking again at the debt that the person has on a monthly basis, and does the income suffice for that? But they'll include obviously any rental income that's coming in. So in Austria, they don't even do that. It's just, does your primary income cover the debt that you have, plus the new debt you want to take on? Do I have that correct?
More or less, yes.
Wow.
If you already get a rental income, you already have it from older, that will count as well. But no future. Okay, you're buying this project.
Right.
This will, give you this much rent. No, we don't care. You don't have the money yet. We don't care about it. Okay,
so that kind of puts a limit on the leverage that one can extend in Austria, which is, again, vastly different than the United States. And that's, I think, do you see any concerns then with what's taking place with the real estate market here in the United States? Or do you think that things are going to be okay?
Well, I don't know the numbers from the US, but the UK, which is pretty similar. I talked yesterday to a girl from Ireland who told me she moved to Vienna because in Ireland she's paying $2,000 for a one-room apartment. Okay. Ouch. And, well, I thought Vienna was quite expensive. No, it's obviously not. So in the UK, property prices have doubled every 10 years for 300 years now. That's a pretty long time for that to go on. So I don't see a reason why it doesn't go on for another 100 years.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Now, how about the suggestion of, again, trying to develop this passive income in real estate is when the kids, and I say kids, my students, or anybody for that matter, is ready to deploy and is ready to buy that piece of real estate. Do you recommend them buying just a single family home and renting that out? Do you maybe recommend as their starter home that they, occupy one unit and then can rent out the other unit? Do you have any take on buying a single family home as opposed to buying a multi-family home, just getting started for these individuals?
Well, I think both is a pretty good idea. If you buy a duplex, double house, and you live in one half and you rent out the other half, and the people you rent out pay for the whole thing for you, that's perfect, right? If you don't find one like that, just buy one single family home, rent it out. And then after you gain some knowledge, some experience, and then you buy another one and another one and another one.
All right. So again, just going back to the different ways that you said to develop passive income, I think you even said, write a book, and again, this goes back into being able to write. And I think there's some flaws right now, at least I see in our academic system of being able to write clearly and concisely, but that's neither here nor there. I digress. Or creating something else of value that other people are going to want. And whether that's, creating whatever, a YouTube channel where you get these subscribers and people follow you, whether you're creating a program or a tutorial that people are going to buy and use. You've created the Money Hero Academy, which, correct me if I'm wrong, is a sense of passive income, correct?
At the moment, it's pretty active, me teaching, but I'm recording everything I'm teaching. So to create something more passive as well, yes.
So when did the Money Hero Academy start for you, Florian?
Well, it actually started more or less with the pandemic, with everything closing down. So it's about almost 2 years old now. I did have, interesting enough, I had an online course in German online before. But I got more response from non-German speaking people. Oh, this looks so interesting, but I don't understand anything. So I thought, okay, let's create something English for the rest of the world and drop the German one completely. So yeah, create something, a tutorial, learning some piece of software, YouTube channel, as you mentioned. There's so much thing. Apps, create apps. Apps are amazing. Everybody has this phone. Everybody uses apps. So that's an amazing way to make money.
Now, when saying creating an app, I mean that on the surface, I mean, again, maybe these kids today might be more, I'm not trying to make a pun here, more apt, APT, to go down that avenue. But for what kind of recommendation can you give if again, they're not fully comfortable with, I guess, the technology needed to create their own app? What's up?
You don't need to know how to do it yourself. You have the idea for an app and then say, okay, this is what the app should do. This is what the screen should look like. And then you find someone online that programs the thing for you. You don't need to know how to do that. You just need to have the idea, oh, I think this is an app that a lot of people would like to use.
Now, is that the process that you took with creating Money Hero Academy? You have the vision, you have the idea. Did you then seek out other people to help you build the program? Or are you doing it all by yourself?
No, not all. I do a lot by myself, but I'm absolutely outsourcing my logo. I can't create a logo. A lot of social media work I'm not doing myself. Lots of things that I find people for. It's very simple on the internet. You go to Fiverr.com or to Freelancer.com and you'll find people who help you for affordable rates.
All right, what was that first one you mentioned? Fiverr, Fibe?
Fiverr.com, like a Fiverr, like $5, but with two R's in the end.
Okay.
And yeah,
freelancer.
The basic idea is that you only pay $5 for every job. So most of the freelancers there have a basic offer for $5 in there, but obviously if you want more, they will charge you more.
Great pieces of advice and great tools and resources. That's Fiverr, Fiverr, correct?
Correct.
And freelancer.com. So thank you for, again, those entrepreneurial minded people that have the vision, just, want to outsource some of the other work. So selfishly, that definitely helps me. Florian, is I want to take it on my own, but at the same point, you don't want to sacrifice all of your time to try and do that. So I appreciate that. Now, we're coming short on time here, Florian. I really, again, appreciate all the valuable insight you've been able to provide to us over the last half hour here. So what kind of advice, and other than what you've already mentioned, over the last half hour or so can you give to high schoolers growing up in this day and age, which is a very loaded question, I know, but so I'll give you kind of carte blanche on this one. What kind of advice can you give to high schoolers growing up in this day and age?
Yeah, that's lots of possible advice here. Very open question. Thank you. Yeah, I teach as you mentioned in the beginning, the 3 pillars of the financial success, or now I prefer to call them the 3 superpowers of the money hero, which is the money mindset, the money management, and the money making skills. And I want to start with the advice. I want to concentrate on the pillar number 1, the money mindset, because we still learn things like you have to work hard for money. Money is the root of all evil. Money doesn't grow on trees. And now if we just look at you have to work hard for money. Like, how many of all those hardworking people you know are rich? Most of them are broke, right? So obviously, there's something wrong with this belief, but we still believe it and we still teach it to our kids. So if anybody's teaching you these things, just don't believe them. Don't believe it. You got to work smart. Yes, maybe hard as well, but not only hard. You got to work smart. You got to educate yourself. Learn something about money. Yeah, we don't like to talk about money, but that's not how you learn about it. So educate yourself, learn how to manage money, learn how to grow money, how to multiply money, and don't believe any of these old things that money is bad. Why should it be? Money is good. Money didn't grow on trees. Actually, it does. It's made of paper. Paper it comes from trees. So they're printing trillions every single day. They're printing trillions. So if you have 1 million or 2, you're not making anyone poorer. So go for it and believe that you can be rich and wealthy. You can. Everyone can.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Florian. I think what you just said there resonates with me. I think there's a quote from, I can't say the quote, I think verbatim. It's wildly inappropriate, and I don't recommend the movie. I can't to high schoolers because, again, it's wildly inappropriate, even though they've probably seen it already. And that's The Wolf of Wall Street, where I think in the scene, Leonardo DiCaprio says, when people say that money is the root of all evil, that's because they don't have any. So nevertheless, he said it a little bit different, but that's valuable insight, is to change the mindset of how we think about money. So it's a tool, it's a very valuable tool, and use it to make more of it. And to again, allow yourself to buy yourself time and eventually freedom. So it's a pleasure being again with you all this morning on the Stock Showdown podcast. This is Florian Fritz and yours truly, Wandy, signing off. God bless.